The crew's revelation, explanation of their transformation, the entity they encountered, preparing for the greater threat. Federation's ultimatum, Earth's decision, the dimensional shift, the final stand begins. Now, let me write the full story. The human ship returns after 11 years, evolved, and ready to face what devours galaxies. Part 1. The Return. The first anomaly registered on Station Omega sensors at 3:47 Galactic Standard Time. Lieutenant Vextar, a four-armed Krellin monitoring deep space communications, nearly dropped his morning stimulant when the readings flooded his screen. Commander Thorne, he called to the human officer across the command deck. We have something unusual in Sector 7. Commander Sarah Thorne set down her datapad and crossed to the sensor station. At 42, she had seen enough space oddities to remain calm, but the readings made her pause. That's not possible. These energy signatures, they're inverting standard physics. The anomaly grew stronger. Across the vast network of Federation monitoring stations, alarms began cascading through the system. What started as a simple spatial distortion became something else entirely, a wound in reality itself. On the Federation capital world of Nexus Prime, Supreme Admiral Kexavol received the emergency transmission with growing concern. The Zephyrian's crystalline form pulsed with agitation as data streams flowed through his consciousness. Summon the Council, he commanded through the neural link. Priority 1. Within minutes, representatives from 12 major species assembled in the Great Chamber. Humans, Krellins, Zephyrians, Vortex, and others watched as the central hologram displayed the anomaly's progression. The distortion is expanding, reported Senior Analyst Mira Chen, humanity's representative in the scientific division. But it's controlled. This isn't random. Something is coming through. The Vortex Ambassador, a being of pure energy contained in a mechanical shell, flickered with concern. Could it be them? The Devourers. The chamber fell silent. The Devourers, entities that consumed entire star systems, had been quiet for decades. Their last appearance had cost 3 civilizations before the Federation barely managed to drive them back. No, Chen answered, studying the data. The signature is different. This is artificial, engineered. Then it happened. Space itself seemed to exhale, and from the wound in reality emerged a ship. But calling it a ship seemed inadequate. It was architecture made manifest, geometry that defied conventional understanding. Its hull appeared to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, surfaces folding through impossible angles. By the ancient codes, whispered the Krellin elder, what is that thing? The vessel's identification beacon activated, and across every screen in the Federation, 3 words appeared, UES Phoenix Rising. Commander Thorne's coffee mug shattered on the deck. That's impossible. The Phoenix Rising was lost 11 years ago. We held memorial services. I knew the crew. Admiral Kexvol's form brightened with intensity. Confirm that identification immediately. The confirmation came swiftly, along with something else, a message broadcast on an old Earth military frequency. This is Captain Elena Rivera of the Phoenix Rising. We have returned. We are changed. And we bring mourning. The Federation Council erupted in chaos. The Phoenix Rising had been humanity's most advanced exploration vessel when it vanished during a deep space survey mission. Its loss had been one of Earth's greatest tragedies. On Earth, in the underground command bunker beneath New Geneva, General Marcus Webb stood before the emergency assembly. The room buzzed with tension as military leaders, scientists, and diplomats gathered around the tactical display. Ladies and gentlemen, Webb began, his voice steady despite the circumstances. What we're seeing defies our understanding. The Phoenix Rising has returned, but our scans suggest it's been fundamentally altered. Dr. James Park, head of the Advanced Technology Division, adjusted his glasses nervously. The ship's readings are off the charts. It's not just advanced. It's operating on principles we can't even comprehend. The hull seems to exist partially outside our dimensional framework. Could it be a trap? Asked Defense Minister Lisa Torres. Something wearing our ship's skin. Webb shook his head. The quantum signature matches. Somehow, impossibly, this is our ship. But what happened to it? And the crew remains unknown. Above Nexus Prime, the Phoenix Rising hung motionless, a testament to impossibility. Federation ships surrounded it at a respectful distance, weapons powered but not aimed. Everyone waited. The second transmission came 12 hours later, this time directed to the full council. Captain Rivera's image appeared on screen, but she was changed. Her eyes held depths that seemed to look through reality itself, and her movements carried an otherworldly precision. Honored council members, she began, her voice carrying harmonics that shouldn't exist in human vocal cords. We apologize for our dramatic return. Time was not a luxury we could afford. Supreme Admiral Kexbol leaned forward. Captain Rivera, you've been declared lost for over a decade. Where have you been? Beyond, she answered simply. We encountered something. Someone that changed our understanding of existence itself. They saved us from destruction and gave us purpose. Who? Demanded the Vortec ambassador. Who has this power? Rivera's expression grew solemn. They call themselves the architects, beings who exist outside our dimensional constraints, who build realities like we build cities. They pulled us from the edge of annihilation when we stumbled into a devourer nest. The council chamber erupted. The devourers had nests. This changed everything. The devourers aren't random forces of destruction, Rivera continued. They're symptoms of something larger, a cosmic infection spreading through dimensional barriers. The architects have been fighting them for eons. And they changed you? Asked Mira Chen, her scientific mind racing. Changed your ship. They evolved us, Rivera corrected. Gave us the tools to comprehend and combat what's coming. Because something is coming. The largest devourer incursion in recorded history. It will arrive in this galaxy within the year. The silence that followed was suffocating. Finally, the Krellin elder spoke. What do you propose? Unity, Rivera answered. The architects chose humanity not because we're special, but because we're stubborn. We adapt. We survive. We find impossible solutions to impossible problems. But we can't do this alone. General Webb watched the proceedings from Earth, his mind already working through military implications. He turned to his staff. Prepare everything. If Rivera's right, we're about to face the greatest threat in human history. Dr. Park studied the Phoenix Rising schematics, his excitement barely contained. The technological leaps, it's revolutionary. If we can understand even a fraction of these modifications. Focus on weapons applications first, Webb interrupted. We need to be ready. Back at the council, tensions rose. The Zephyrian contingent expressed skepticism. How do we know this isn't elaborate deception? The devourers could have corrupted your crew. Rivera's response was to activate something on her command console. Suddenly, the Phoenix Rising pulsed with energy, and every defensive system in the Federation fleet went offline simultaneously. Not damage, simply paused. We could have destroyed this entire fleet the moment we arrived, Rivera stated calmly. Instead, we're here talking. The architects didn't give us power to conquer. They gave us responsibility to protect. The ship's systems came back online instantly. No damage done. The demonstration was sobering. You've made your point, Admiral Kexvol conceded. What do you need from us? Time to prepare. Resources to upgrade the fleet. And trust, the hardest commodity of all. Over the following days, the Phoenix Rising became the center of frantic activity. Human engineers worked alongside alien specialists, trying to understand the ship's revolutionary systems. The technology was so advanced it seemed like magic, yet it followed consistent principles, once you accepted that reality was far more flexible than previously believed. Commander Thorne found herself assigned as liaison to the Phoenix Rising. Standing on its bridge felt like being inside a living organism. The walls breathed with subtle energy, and the air itself seemed aware. "It's unsettling at first," Captain Rivera admitted, noticing Thorne's discomfort. "But you adapt. Humans always do." "Elena," Thorne said, using the captain's first name, "what really happened out there? What are these architects?" Rivera's eyes grew distant. "Imagine beings who treat physics like poetry, who build galaxies like gardens. They've been fighting the Devourers since before our sun was born. And they're tired. They need allies who can think differently, fight differently. And they chose us. They chose survival. Humans just happen to be very good at it. The first tests of the hybrid technology were remarkable. A single fighter equipped with architect modifications could phase through solid matter, twist space around itself, and strike with weapons that targeted the fundamental forces holding atoms together. But as preparations accelerated, so did opposition. Several Federation species, led by the militant Sarkosians, viewed humanity's sudden advancement with suspicion. "This is a power grab," declared Ambassador Vectar during a heated council session. "Humans return with godlike technology and expect us to simply accept their dominance." General Webb, attending via quantum link, kept his voice level. "We're sharing everything. Every advancement, every discovery. This isn't about human dominance. It's about survival." "So you say," Vectar retorted. "But who controls the source of this power? Who truly understands it?" The debate raged for hours. Some species sided with humanity, recognizing the existential threat. Others remained skeptical, fearing the disruption of established power structures. Meanwhile, deep space monitoring stations began detecting troubling signs. Gravitational anomalies appeared at the galaxy's edge. Stars dimmed without explanation. Something vast was stirring in the cosmic deep. Captain Rivera stood before the assembled fleet commanders, her transformed crew beside her. Each human showed signs of their evolution, eyes that saw beyond the visible spectrum, movements that suggested awareness of multiple dimensional states. "The enemy isn't coming," she announced. "It's already here. The Devourers' advanced scouts have entered our galaxy. We have perhaps 6 months before the main force arrives." The room fell silent. 6 months to prepare for cosmic annihilation. "The architects gave us tools," Rivera continued, "but tools alone won't save us. We need to fundamentally change how we think about reality, about warfare, about existence itself." As the meeting concluded, Commander Thorne approached Rivera privately. "Are we going to make it?" Rivera's answer was quintessentially human. "We're going to try. And if history's taught us anything, that's usually enough." The transformation of the fleet began immediately. Human adaptability combined with alien expertise, creating hybrid vessels that defied conventional classification. Ships that could phase between dimensions, weapons that struck at the quantum level, shields that bent reality itself around protected spaces. But even as they prepared, everyone knew the truth. They were children playing with tools they barely understood, facing an enemy that had consumed civilizations far greater than their own. The Phoenix Rising hung in space, a bridge between what was and what might be. Its impossible geometry caught starlight and twisted it into patterns that hurt to perceive, a constant reminder that reality itself was about to be tested. And somewhere in the cosmic dark, ancient hungers stirred, drawn by the light of civilizations that dared to resist their inevitable consumption. The evolution. Dr. James Park stood inside the Phoenix Rising's engineering bay, his mind struggling to process what he saw. The traditional concept of engines, conduits, and power systems had been replaced by something that resembled a living neural network. Crystalline structures pulsed with energy that seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously. "It doesn't follow any known physics," he muttered, running his hand along a surface that felt both solid and liquid. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Torres, the Phoenix Rising's chief engineer, smiled knowingly. His transformation was perhaps the most visible among the crew. His hands occasionally phased through solid matter when he wasn't concentrating, and his eyes reflected light in patterns that shouldn't exist. That's because it operates outside conventional physics, Torres explained. The architects don't see reality as fixed laws, but as suggestions, flexible parameters that can be adjusted with the right understanding. Park activated his quantum scanner, trying to map the energy flows. But how do you control it? How do you even comprehend it? We don't control it, Torres corrected. We cooperate with it. The ship is alive in ways we're still discovering. It learns, adapts, even anticipates our needs. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as hybrid human-alien teams worked to upgrade the Federation fleet. The process was exhausting, often frustrating, but gradually yielding results. Ships began incorporating architect technology, though none achieved the complete transformation of the Phoenix Rising. On the bridge, Captain Rivera convened with her senior staff. The transformation had changed them all, but their humanity remained, perhaps even enhanced by their expanded perception. "Report," she ordered, her voice carrying those strange harmonics that seemed to resonate with the ship itself. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's science officer, brought up a holographic display. Where her hands moved, reality seemed to bend slightly. Long-range sensors detect increasing distortions along the galactic rim. "The Devourer scouts are testing our defenses, looking for weak points." "How many?" asked Commander David Chen, the tactical officer whose augmented vision could perceive probability streams. 17 confirmed breaches. Each one is a probe, gathering intelligence about our capabilities. Tanaka manipulated the display, showing attack patterns that existed in multiple dimensions. "They're learning." Rivera studied the data. "They're also afraid. For the first time in eons, they face prey that might bite back." The observation deck of Nexus Prime's orbital command center had become a war room. Supreme Admiral Kexbol stood beside General Webb, both watching as fleet formations practiced maneuvers that would have been impossible weeks before. "Your species continues to surprise," the Admiral admitted, his crystalline form pulsing with contemplation. "Most would have hoarded such power. You share it freely." Webb's expression remained professional, but pride flickered in his eyes. Humanity learned long ago that survival often depends on cooperation. Besides, what good is power if everyone else is dead? "The Sarkosians still resist full integration," Kexfall noted. "They fear human dominance in the new order." "They fear change," Webb corrected. "But fear won't stop what's coming." As if to punctuate his words, alarms suddenly blazed across the command center. A massive gravitational distortion had appeared in Sector 12. Not a probe this time, but a full Devourer manifestation. The entity defied description. It existed as a wound in spacetime, a hungry void that consumed light, matter, and the very fabric of reality. Stars near its emergence point began to dim, their energy siphoned into the creature's impossible mass. "Deploy the Third Fleet," Kexfall ordered. "Test our new weapons." The hybrid fleet moved with unprecedented coordination. Ships equipped with architect technology phased in and out of dimensional states, avoiding the Devourer's gravitational grasp while striking with weapons that targeted its quantum structure. The battle was brief but illuminating. While the fleet managed to wound the entity, forcing its retreat, the cost was significant. 3 ships were lost, pulled into the Devourer's core where matter ceased to have meaning. Captain Rivera watched the battle recordings with grim determination. "They're testing us." This was a small one, probably adolescent by their standards. "Adolescent." General Webb's voice crackled over the quantum link. "That thing consumed a moon before we drove it off." "The architect's memories show worse," Rivera replied. "Mature Devourers can consume entire star systems in days. The ones coming, they're ancient, hungry, and angry that something dares resist them." The revelation sent shockwaves through the Federation. If that monster was considered small, what hope did they have against a full invasion? In the following weeks, preparation intensified. The Phoenix Rising became a training center where selected crews learned to interface with architect technology. The process was dangerous. Not everyone could handle the expanded consciousness required. Some went mad, their minds unable to process multiple dimensional states. Others thrived, becoming something more than human while retaining their essential humanity. Commander Thorne was among those who successfully underwent partial transformation. Standing on the Phoenix Rising's observation deck, she could now perceive layers of reality she'd never imagined existed. "It's beautiful," she whispered, watching energy patterns dance through subspace. "And terrible," Rivera added, joining her. "The universe is far stranger and more dangerous than we ever imagined, but also more wonderful." The crew seems different, not just physically, but spiritually. "You've all changed in ways I can't quite define." Rivera nodded. "The architects didn't just give us technology. They gave us perspective. We see the connections now, how every action ripples through dimensional barriers, how consciousness itself shapes reality. It's humbling and empowering simultaneously." The Sarkozian situation reached a crisis point when Ambassador Vector demanded access to the Phoenix Rising's core systems. His species, militant and proud, refused to accept human leadership in the coming conflict. "You hide the true power," he accused during a heated council session. "You keep the deepest secrets for yourselves while feeding us scraps." Captain Rivera's response was unexpected. "Then come see for yourself. Bring your best scientists and warriors. Experience what we experienced." The challenge was accepted. A delegation of Sarkozians boarded the Phoenix Rising, expecting to uncover human deception. What they found instead changed them forever. The ship's core wasn't a room, but a space between spaces where the architect interface resided. Here, consciousness could touch the fundamental structures of reality. The Sarkozians entered skeptical and emerged transformed, not physically, but in understanding. Ambassador Vector stood before the council days later, his militant bearing replaced by something approaching awe. "I was wrong," he announced. "The humans haven't hidden power from us. They've protected us from knowledge we weren't ready to comprehend. The responsibility they bear, it's staggering." His words marked a turning point. The Federation truly united, species setting aside ancient rivalries in the face of existential threat. Dr. Park made a breakthrough while studying the Phoenix Rising's weapon systems. "They don't destroy," he explained excitedly to the assembled scientists. "They unwrite. They remove the target from reality's equation entirely." "That's impossible," protested a Zephyrian physicist. "Conservation of energy." "Doesn't apply," Park interrupted, "because the energy isn't destroyed. It's redirected into dimensional barriers, strengthening reality's fabric against devourer incursions. Every shot we fire makes the universe slightly more resistant to their consumption." The implications were staggering. The architects hadn't just given them weapons, they'd provided tools to heal reality itself. As the 6th month approached, signs of the main devourer force multiplied. Entire sectors reported gravitational anomalies, ancient automated warning beacons left by long-dead civilizations, activated across the galaxy. The storm was coming. Captain Rivera assembled the combined fleet commanders for a final strategic session. The holographic display showed their galaxy surrounded by encroaching darkness. Devourer entities massing for coordinated assault. "They'll strike simultaneously at multiple points," she explained. "Traditional defensive strategies won't work. We need to be everywhere at once." "Impossible," muttered a Krellan admiral. "Even with our enhanced fleet." "Not impossible," Rivera corrected. "We'll use the Phoenix Rising as a dimensional anchor. The ship can exist in multiple locations simultaneously, coordinating defense across vast distances, but it requires something we haven't attempted before." She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "We need to partially merge consciousness across the entire fleet, become one entity with millions of parts. It's the only way to match their coordination." The proposal was audacious, dangerous, and utterly human in its ambitious scope. It required trust beyond anything the Federation had attempted before. General Webb spoke from Earth. The risks? Significant, Rivera admitted. We could lose individual identity, become something else entirely, or it could fail catastrophically, leaving us defenseless. But the alternative is certain consumption. The vote was unanimous. Faced with extinction, the Federation chose transformation. Preparations began immediately. The Phoenix Rising positioned itself at the galaxy's core, its impossible architecture beginning to pulse with new purpose. Ships throughout the fleet received final architect modifications, preparing for consciousness merger. On Earth, in humanity's ancient home, people gathered to watch the skies. Children who might never grow old, elders who'd lived through humanity's first steps into space, all united in understanding that their species faced its ultimate test. Dr. Park stood beside General Webb in the command bunker. "Think we'll make it?" Webb's answer echoed Rivera's words from months before. "We're human. We'll find a way. We always do." As the final hours ticked down, the Phoenix Rising began its transformation. The ship expanded not in size, but in presence, existing simultaneously at thousands of points throughout the galaxy. Its crew, now serving as living conduits for the merged consciousness, prepared for the unprecedented joining. Captain Rivera took her position at the ship's heart, where reality bent into impossible configurations. Through her enhanced perception, she could feel the approaching storm, ancient hungers that had consumed countless civilizations, entities that existed only to devour. But she could also feel something else, the combined will of hundreds of species, united by shared purpose. The stubborn refusal to go quietly into extinction. The human gift for finding hope in hopeless situations, now amplified across an entire galaxy. All ships report ready, came the final confirmation. Rivera nodded, her consciousness already expanding beyond individual selfhood. "Begin the merge. Let's show them why the architects chose us." The Phoenix Rising pulsed once, its light visible across the galaxy. Then something unprecedented began, a melding of minds and souls, technology and will, creating a defense network that spanned stars. The Devourers approached, confident in their ancient power. They'd consumed galaxies before. They'd feast again. But this time, something was different. This prey had evolved. This prey had teeth. The final battle for the galaxy's survival was about to begin, and at its heart stood humanity, transformed, united, and absolutely refusing to surrender. In the cosmic dark, ancient hungers met human determination. The universe itself held its breath, waiting to see which force would prove stronger, the endless appetite of destruction or the infinite adaptability of life. The Phoenix had risen. Now it would soar or fall, with the fate of everything hanging in the balance.